Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us once again on this incredible journey through the fascinating world of rare coins where tiny details, small minting mistakes, and overlooked errors can transform an ordinary penny into a life-changing treasure. Today we're diving into the captivating story of the 1981 1-cent coin. A coin that on the surface seems like any other common Lincoln Memorial cent, but under the right circumstances can command values as high as $200,000 simply because of its errors, flaws, and unique characteristics that collectors and investors crave. And as we move deeper into this story, you'll begin to realize just how complex coin collecting can be, how minute imperfections in the minting process create these rare gems, and why so many people are constantly on the lookout for coins like the 1981 penny that could literally change their lives overnight. So let's begin by understanding the historical backdrop, because 1981 was a pivotal year for the Lincoln cent. It marked the very last full year when cents were struck entirely in a bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin before the transition to the copper-plated zinc composition in 1982. Which means that not only does the 1981 penny carry a historical distinction, but it also straddles the line between eras, making it a highly sought-after year for collectors. And when we bring in the error factor, it multiplies the desirability even further, because error coins are like accidents. Frozen in time, little accidents that slipped through the strict controls of the U.S. Mint and ended up in circulation or in collectors' hands. Now, one of the most talked about errors in the 1981 penny involves doubled dies, and this is where a coin die used to strike the pennies receives a misaligned impression during its creation, causing certain design elements like the date, the words "Liberty," or the motto "In God We Trust," to appear doubled, sometimes dramatically and sometimes subtly. And when this doubling is bold and visible, it instantly increases the rarity and therefore the value of the coin, with collectors willing to pay thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the clarity and preservation of the doubling. Another error that makes the 1981 cent worth big money is off-center striking. And this occurs when the blank planchet that is about to be struck by the coin dies is not properly centered, leading to coins where part of the design is missing or dramatically shifted. The more off-center the strike while still showing the full date, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Some 1981 pennies with extreme off-center errors have sold for tens of thousands of dollars because they represent such dramatic mint mistakes that were never meant to leave the facility. And then we have broad strikes, where the retaining collar that keeps the coin's shape during striking fails and the coin metal spreads out wider than normal, creating a very unusual appearance. A 1981 broad-struck penny is a great find, and its value depends heavily on condition and the extremity of the strike. Another factor that cannot be ignored is the presence of transitional errors. Because 1982 saw the major shift from bronze to copper-plated zinc, there are always possibilities of planchets being mixed up during the minting process. And while official records say the full transition happened in 1982, the chaos of mass production sometimes leads to 1981 dated coins being struck on experimental or transitional planchets. And any such discovery would instantly skyrocket in value because it's essentially a hybrid coin born out of a minting anomaly. And there are also die cracks and die breaks where the dies used to strike the coins developed cracks over time, leaving raised lines or blobs on the surface of the pennies, sometimes creating odd shapes like cuds where parts of the coin design are completely missing and replaced by a blob of metal. And collectors absolutely love such distinct errors because each one is unique like a fingerprint. And some of these can reach staggering prices, especially when they occur on a year as significant as 1981. And we can't forget repunched mint marks, which are another fascinating error, because back in those years the mint mark was punched by hand onto the die, and if the worker punched it more than once or slightly off, it resulted in overlapping mint marks, which today are considered highly collectible and quite valuable. And in 1981 both the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, the Denver Mint with a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint producing proof coins were active, meaning there are possibilities of repunched mint mark varieties existing especially for the Denver and San Francisco coins. And when it comes to proof strikes from San Francisco, the 1981 S-proof penny is a whole story on its own because that year actually had two distinct mint mark styles known as Type 1 and Type 2, The Type 1S has a blobby and indistinct mint mark, while the Type 2S shows a much clearer and sharper mint mark, and collectors pay enormous premiums for high-grade examples of the Type 2 proof, which can easily push the value of a single coin into thousands. And when errors are layered on top of this, the value can escalate to the kind of jaw-dropping numbers that grab headlines, sometimes approaching $200,000 if the error is unique and dramatic enough. So let's also think about misaligned dies. When the hammer die strikes the coin slightly off from the stationary die, it creates a misaligned design that throws off the symmetry of the penny. These can be minor or major, and the bigger the misalignment, the higher the price. And then there are striking errors like double strikes or multiple strikes where the coin is struck more than once, producing overlapping designs that are highly collectible. And we should also discuss planchet errors, because coins can be struck on the wrong metal, wrong size planchets, or defective planchets with clipped edges, laminations, or incomplete plating, and each of these conditions turns a common coin into a prized rarity. Now imagine a 1981 penny struck on a dime planchet or a foreign coin blank. That would instantly put its value well into the six-figure range because of how rare and unexpected such an event would be. And another crucial element in the valuation is condition, because even with the right error, if the coin is heavily circulated and worn down, it loses a lot of appeal to top collectors who are looking for pristine examples graded by services like PCGS or NGC. High mint state grades or proof grades combined with dramatic errors are what drive values into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is where stories of ordinary people finding what they thought were pocket change pennies turning out to be life-changing treasures come from. It's that element of surprise and rarity that keeps the coin collecting world buzzing. The idea that somewhere out there in jars, drawers, wallets, or bank rolls there could be a 1981 penny carrying an error so unique that it sells for $200,000 at auction. And these auctions do happen, with serious bidders competing for ownership of a piece of history, pushing prices higher and higher until they reach unbelievable levels. And that's why it's so important to check your coins carefully, to use magnification, to compare with known varieties and reference guides, because the minting process even in modern times is not perfect and errors do slip through, and those slips are what turn an ordinary cent into a treasure. And as we look back at the broader picture of 1981, it's fascinating to consider how such a common coin with billions minted can also be the source of some of the most valuable rarities in circulation today. Billions of coins mean billions of chances for something to go slightly wrong, and it is in those tiny mistakes that collectors see magic. From doubled dies to off-center strikes, from repunched mint marks to transitional planchets, each of these represents not just a minting error but also a story about the complexities of mass production, the human element of minting, the limitations of machinery, and the passion of collectors who dedicate their lives to hunting down these anomalies. And the 1981 penny sits right at the crossroads of these stories, carrying with it the legacy of the copper era, the artistry of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, and the allure of errors that can transform a single cent into a six-figure fortune. So the next time you come across a 1981 penny, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take the time to study it carefully. Look for doubling, inspect the mint mark, check the alignment of the strike, consider the weight to see if it could be a wrong planchet. And imagine the possibility that you might just be holding on to a $200,000 treasure in the palm of your hand, because that's the thrill of coin collecting, the chance that something so small and overlooked could hold such massive value. And as collectors, enthusiasts, and dreamers continue their search, the legend of the 1981 penny grows stronger, reminding us all that history, chance, and error sometimes combine to create something priceless. And that is why people around the world are constantly checking their change, buying rolls from banks, attending auctions, and studying reference books, hoping to be the next lucky person to uncover a coin worth a fortune. So stay curious, keep searching, and remember that your next penny might just be the rare one that changes everything. And thank you for staying with us on this deep exploration of the 1981 penny, its errors, and its incredible potential value. Next, 1999 1-cent USA coin, being part of this amazing journey into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where tiny details, hidden minting flaws, And small errors can turn something as ordinary as a 1-cent coin into a staggering fortune worth life-changing money. And today we are diving into the incredible story of the 1999 1-cent coin. A coin that many people have dismissed as just another modern Lincoln cent because billions were minted, yet when you start to peel back the layers and look at the possibilities of errors, varieties, and anomalies that occurred during the minting process, you begin to realize why certain examples of the 1999 penny have been valued at $100,000 or more, and why collectors and investors are constantly on the hunt for them, and just like we've discussed with other rare coins in the past. The true magic lies not in the ordinary but in the extraordinary mistakes, misstrikes, doubled dies, wrong planchets, and unique transitional quirks that slip through the tight controls of the U.S. Mint. So let's set the stage first by understanding the historical context of the 1999 penny, because 1999 was right at the end of the millennium, a year charged with symbolism as the country was preparing to enter a new century, and while the Lincoln Memorial design had been in place since 1959. Collectors were already looking forward to the 2009 redesign, which would eventually honor the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. But in 1999 the focus was still on the copper-plated zinc cents that had been the standard since 1982, so technically the 1999 penny might not seem particularly special at first glance, but once you consider the sheer volume of coins produced, over 5 billion across Philadelphia and Denver mints, you realize that within such massive production runs, mistakes are inevitable, and those mistakes are where fortunes are made. So let's dive into the error types that make a 1999 1-cent coin so valuable, starting with the famous double die varieties, because doubling errors happen when the coin die itself receives a doubled impression during preparation, and when that flawed die is used to strike thousands of coins, every one of those coins carries the doubling, making it a known collectible variety. For 1999 pennies, doubling can appear in the inscriptions like Liberty, or In God We Trust, or even in the date itself, and when the doubling is strong and visible without magnification, it becomes a major rarity. With prices skyrocketing depending on condition, and imagine finding a flawless mint state 1999 double die penny. It could easily command tens of thousands at auction, and when the doubling is dramatic and paired with a perfect grade like MS67 or MS68, that's when we talk about values reaching into the six-figure range. Now another striking factor in 1999 was off-center errors, and with billions of pennies struck, sometimes the blank planchet was misfed into the press, leading to coins struck partially off the design. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the full date, the higher the value. Some off-center 1999 pennies with extreme errors have sold for thousands, but combine that with pristine condition and collector frenzy and you're easily looking at $100,000 possibilities, especially for unique examples. And then there are broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the coin to spread out larger than normal, which gives the coin a warped and unusual appearance, highly collectible when paired with strong mint state condition. Another major category for 1999 is die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, because overused dies often develop cracks which show up as raised lines across the coin, or even bigger chunks missing from the design replaced by a blob of metal known as a cud. These kinds of errors create one-of-a-kind coins that collectors love since no two are exactly the same, and some dramatic cut errors on Lincoln cents from this era have sold for thousands, so a 1999 penny with a large, bold cut error and in high grade could easily be pushed to astronomical levels. Now another fascinating error from 1999 involves wrong planchet strikes, because even though quality control at the U.S. Mint is strict, sometimes blanks intended for other denominations or even foreign coins accidentally get struck with the cent dies. Imagine a 1999 penny struck on a dime planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. That would instantly make it a rarity worth tens of thousands. And when such pieces come to auction, bidding wars erupt because these are truly once-in-a-lifetime finds. And then we have transitional or experimental errors, which are rarer for 1999 but still possible given how the mint occasionally tests different alloys. And if a coin turned out to be struck on a planchet outside the official specifications, it would become a major collectible, Another highly collectible error type for 1999 pennies is misaligned die strikes, where the obverse and reverse don't line up properly, or double strikes where the coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping designs. These can range from minor curiosities to extremely dramatic showpieces that fetch enormous sums. And when we're talking about the $100,000 level, it's usually because the error is dramatic, unique, and in gem mint condition, certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Now let's not forget proof coins, because in 1999 the San Francisco Mint produced proof cents, and these proofs sometimes carry their own varieties, including differences in mint marks or accidental anomalies. And high-grade 1999 S-proof pennies with errors can be worth thousands, with some unique ones pushing into six figures. And let's talk about repunched mint marks, because in earlier years the mint mark was applied manually. But even in later years like 1999, there are minor varieties that collectors still chase. And while not every repunched mint mark is extremely valuable, rare examples in pristine grades add to the lore and potential six-figure valuations. Condition is another crucial aspect, because for any 1999 penny to approach $100,000, it must be in a nearly flawless grade. We're talking MS67, MS68, or PR70 for proofs. Coins in these grades are not only rare due to the inherent difficulties of striking perfect copper-plated zinc cents, but they are also highly desirable to registry set collectors who are willing to pay massive premiums to own the top-graded example. And this demand creates extraordinary auction results. Now let's imagine the story of someone finding a 1999 penny in their pocket change, noticing a dramatic error like a strong doubled die or a massive off-center strike, and sending it off to be graded, only to discover that it's one of the finest known examples. Suddenly that 1 cent becomes a $100,000 ticket to financial freedom. And these are not myths, they are real stories that have happened time and again in the numismatic world, which is why people are constantly hunting bank rolls, searching through jars of coins, and scouring their pocket change hoping to find the next hidden treasure. And another factor to consider is demand, because the 1999 penny falls into a transitional period right before the millennium change, which adds a layer of symbolic historical appeal. Collectors love coins that mark turning points, and 1999 was the last year before the year 2000. Giving it extra significance in the eyes of many buyers, and when you add in errors and rarity, the desirability only grows, and auction houses have seen dramatic bidding wars for 1999 era pennies, with collectors pushing prices higher and higher as they fight for ownership of a coin that stands out from the billions of ordinary examples. So while most 1999 pennies are worth only face value, the rare ones with dramatic errors or top-grade conditions are worth tens of thousands, even up to $100,000 depending on the combination of error, rarity, and grade. And that's what makes this story so exciting, because it's a reminder that history, rarity, and luck can converge in the most unexpected of ways, turning something everyone has seen and ignored into something priceless. And it shows why coin collecting remains one of the most thrilling hobbies in the world, because at its heart it's about discovery, about finding value in the overlooked, and about appreciating the artistry, history, and quirks of the minting process. So as we reflect on the 1999 penny, we see a coin that is common yet extraordinary, ordinary yet rare, overlooked yet potentially life-changing. And for anyone listening, it should be a call to action to start paying attention to the coins you handle every day. Because you never know when that 1999 penny you casually glance at could turn out to be a six-figure rarity hiding in plain sight. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and remember that treasures don't always come in the form of gold or jewels. Sometimes they come in the form of a small copper-colored penny that carries within it the story of history, chance, and value beyond imagination. And that is why the 1999 1-cent coin has captured the attention of collectors worldwide, and why its legacy will only continue to grow as more people uncover its secrets and possibilities. So stay curious, stay excited, and always keep looking, because your next discovery could be the one that changes everything.